Why do I care about what people think? Well, if you're a people pleaser, every time you betray your own values just to fit in, it's like giving a piece of yourself away. When you say it's fine when it really wasn't fine, that's another piece gone. When you say yes when you should have said no, that's another piece given away. When you laugh along with something that you don't really agree with, that's another piece of you leaving. At the time it seems small, you tell yourself it's no big deal, it keeps the peace, it keeps people happy, it avoids conflict. But over time, something begins to happen inside you. Those small acts of self-betrayal begin leaving gaps in your sense of self, and those gaps slowly get filled with resentment. Resentment toward others, but even more painfully, resentment towards yourself, because somehow, deep down, you know you've abandoned yourself again. And then one day, life asks you to show up as who you are. Maybe it's in a relationship decision, maybe it's a work situation, maybe it's setting a boundary with someone who expects too much from you. And suddenly you realize something unsettling. You don't actually know who you are anymore. Your sense of self has become fragile. Your self-worth has become dependent on approval. The approval you've been chasing has in fact become addictive. Every smile, every thank you, every bit of praise gives a small hit of reassurance. But the cost of that reassurance is often yourself. Now here's the important thing to understand. You were not born a people pleaser. You learned to survive that way. For many people, this pattern begins in childhood when love, safety or approval felt conditional. Perhaps you learned that being agreeable kept things calm. Perhaps conflict felt unsafe. Perhaps someone's disappointment felt unbearable. So the younger part of you adapted. It learned that pleasing others was the safest strategy available. And that strategy worked. It helped you survive emotionally. But what protects us in childhood can imprison us in adulthood because the inner critic takes over that role. It whispers things like, don't upset them, keep the peace, be nice, don't be selfish, just go along with it. Before you know it, you're living a life organized around other people's expectations instead of your own values. So what do we do about it? Well, the first step is surprisingly simple, but not easy. You begin to learn to sit with someone else's disapproval without rushing to fix it, without over-explaining yourself, without immediately trying to smooth everything over, just allowing the uncomfortable reality that someone may not like your decision. That moment matters more than you think, because every time you tolerate someone else's disappointment without abandoning yourself, you reclaim a piece of who you are. But that leads to another important question. If we're not supposed to act on what pleases, what do we act on? We act on what matters. And that raises a deeper question. How do we actually know what matters? Many people pleasers have spent so long adapting to others that they've lost contact with their own internal compass. So rediscovering what matters begins with paying attention to resentment. Resentment is often a signal that you've crossed one of your own boundaries. When you feel resentful, ask yourself a simple question. What did I agree to that I didn't truly want? The second place to look at is what brings you alive, what conversations energize you, what activates you and leave you with a quiet sense of meaning or satisfaction. What kind of people allow you to relax and be yourself? These experiences often point towards your deeper values. And the third reflection is this. Ask yourself regularly, what kind of person do I want to be in this situation? Not what will keep everyone happy, not what will avoid conflict, but what aligns with the person you want to become. Values like honesty, integrity, kindness, courage, and self-respect become your compass. When you begin making decisions based on what matters rather than what pleases, something inside you starts to shift. Your life becomes quieter, clearer, and more aligned. Some people may not like it, but the people who truly belong in your life will begin relating to the real you rather than the version of you that was trying to please everyone. And perhaps the most important thing is this. Every time you choose what matters over what pleases, you bring another piece of yourself back home. And that is where real self-respect begins. If you'd like help with this, visit my website, book a free discovery call. Let's see what's possible.